Hello and welcome to the Digital and IT Strategy class. My name is Dr. Suzanne Van Hove and I'm going to be your instructor. So let's go through some quick housekeeping things before we get into the details of the course. And apologies up front because I have to read these things word for word, so bear with me. ITIL is a registered trademark of Axelos Limited, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. The IT Infrastructure Library is a registered trademark of Axelos Limited, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. The swirl logo is a trademark of Axelos Limited, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. All other copyrights are property of their respective owners. And all text is from the final draft of ITIL 4 Digital and IT Strategy and multiple ITIL practice guides. Copyright Axelos Limited 2020, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. Material is reproduced under license from Axelos Limited. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, what are we going to talk about in DITS? So the course is going to be delivered in the same order that's in the syllabus. I'm just going to tell you that right up front, and that's how we are going to deal with it. So you have an opportunity to download the syllabus from the student area on the website. I strongly urge you to download that syllabus and make it your best friend. This class is very different than the other mid-level ITIL 4 classes, especially in terms of the assessment. So the agenda here is typical of any of those mid-level classes: guiding principles, key concepts. We're going to be looking at environmental analysis. We're going to be looking at the interaction between customers, market relevance, and operational excellence. This is about developing a digital strategy. How do we interact in today's changing environment? You can read the agenda, you can read the syllabus, but those are the topics that we're going to follow. We're going to follow them exactly as they are on the syllabus, and I'm saying that multiple times because of a couple other items that are going to be coming up. The other things that we're going to be doing is looking at practical assignments. This is the #1 big change with the DITS course, is that you are required to complete 4 practical assignments at a specific level of success before you are allowed to take the certification exam. Give me a couple of minutes and we're going to get to that practical assessment or assignments information, as well as information around the exam itself. So quickly, let's look at the ITIL 4 certification. This should be very familiar for you. Once you've completed the ITIL Foundation class, you have 2 paths. You have the Managing Professional, which is more of the practical day-to-day management of the delivery of products and services, and then you also have the Strategic Leader path, which is where we are today with the Digital and IT Strategy class, coupled with DPI, which is a class that's shared between the 2 streams. Being successful in both will give you that Strategic Leader certification. So that's where we are, the Strategic Leader. Now, the publications and relevant practices that you have to know, and I'm just going to say, strongly recommend that you have the original copies. So the syllabus is the content around the Digital and IT Strategy volume. At this point, you should have the opportunity to attain that book, and I strongly suggest that you do. The selected practices that are included in this syllabus, there are 7 of them. So architecture management, measurement and reporting, portfolio management, risk management, service financial management, strategy management, and workforce and talent management. These practices are downloadable from the My Axelos site. You should all have access to that because you have successfully passed an ITIL exam, which gives you 1 free year of access. Then after that, it is a fee-based system, which you can negotiate on your own, not negotiate the fee, but decide whether or not you want to keep up with it. These practices will always be on, for my understanding, on myaxelos.com. They are not going to be printed and published as a hard copy for the very reason they want the easy access to update as necessary. The examinable content is specified in the syllabus. Again, it's way too important to not review that syllabus and understand what is necessary. I will work your way through that and make sure that you do understand those key concepts, but understand that both the volume and the practices contain information that is not examinable. So that's another reason you need to have the syllabus so that you're focused on what is on the exam. Target audience for DITS, IT and business leaders, C-suite professionals. This is the exam or the course where ITIL 4 strategy is to really say that ITIL is something that should expand across the enterprise. So business leaders, IT leaders, people who are aspiring to be at that D level, C level within an organization, or who have a hand in developing a digital strategy. Our world is rapidly changing, and within that world, having the ability to create a digital strategy and ensure that it is reflective or augmenting the organizational strategy, and I would say that it would be the same as the organizational strategy, but that's my opinion, because what doesn't sit in technology these days, honestly. You know, those are the people that need to be here. There's some really good information that's coming up. I'm excited about delivering this class, so let's look at what the outcomes are. So understanding, you know, that cross-organizational digital strategy and how it fits. Understanding what a digital vision is and how do I deploy it. Understanding the difference between operational excellence and market relevance. They're not the same thing. Just because you deliver something well doesn't mean it's going to be accepted. So having that balance between the two. Understanding what digital disruption does to your organization, to your strategy, and what it's going to impact your organization now and, you know, 6 months down the road when the next disruption happens or sooner. Thinking about how to develop a sustainable business. How do I manage risk from a strategic perspective? Understanding the organizational risk tolerance within an organization or their risk appetite. And then theoretically, it's about developing the digital leader of the future, putting enough context around the digital disruption, digital transformation, and the importance and relevance of technology and how we exploit it to create business opportunities. That's what we're doing now, and enabling the future to modify and mature those ideas as they understand the interactions between them. Okay, so that's the marketing piece. Let's get down to brass tacks here. So this is where the change happens within DITS. It is a two-part assessment. It's very different than what we have seen in the other classes at this mid-level here. So the first one is a set of 4 practical assignments that are based on a case study. We have a video coming up that discusses that case study, but it would behoove you to really dive into that case study and know all elements. But listen carefully as how you're going to deal with the practical assignments. Within the case study, there's 3 fictitious organizations in a potential semi-partnership. They're related, but you know, it's how you're going to interpret. You're going to choose one of the 3 and answer all 4 practical assignments based on that single organization. You may not change organizations midstream. One organization, all 4 assignments. So the 3 organizations within the case study, they all share a common risk report that you need to be able to incorporate into your answers. The practical assignments are open book, open resource. Use any material that you want, but the big thing is that you need to be able to apply ITIL principles that you have been learning about up into when the case practical assignment is assigned. And it has to be reasonable, logical solutions, okay? These solutions are going to be assessed at level 4 of Bloom's, which is around analysis. And when you look at your case study, you'll see, when you look at your syllabus, you'll see that there are 4 sections in the syllabus that are labeled Bloom's Level 4. Those sections are specific information that should be incorporated into the practical assignments, and we'll talk more about that as we go on. The assignments are set into the trainer, that would be me. They're marked and they're assessed, and the scores are returned to you. The practical assignment answers are not, but since you're sending them to me electronically, obviously you have a copy. There is a possibility that I may disagree with what you have and send back questions which you then need to be able to answer before I can provide a final score. Do understand that your practical assignments, my assessment, your response to questions are all sent into PeopleCert where they are reviewed again. It's an audit point. Okay, we'll talk more about it, but I kind of want you to understand now and put a little bit of trepidation in your study. You have to do these things well. The second part of the assessment is your normal multiple choice exam, except it is only 30 questions. It is closed book. You still need to pass at 70%, and the questions on the exam is at Bloom's Level 2 and 3. You have 60 minutes to do the exam rather than the 90. But here's the kicker. It's in the blue or purple box. You have to pass the practical assignments before you are able to register and take the exam. Okay, so a few more things around the practical assignments. Maybe most of this will be repetitive. The 4 assignments that you are to complete, they'll be graded across 5 assessment criteria. It's clearly labeled on the assignments. It's around Bloom's Level 4, so you have to be able to demonstrate analysis skills and provide practical answers. If you're obviously not taking this class in a group, in a classroom situation, so you'll be doing all of these assignments individually. They are all based on the case study. It's open book. And again, the trainer evaluates the output, and I just went through those characteristics just a few minutes ago. You have to pass the practical assignments at 30 out of 40 points. And once you have achieved that, and you do get the opportunity to redo an assignment if necessary. But you only get one chance. If you cannot achieve those 30 out of the 40 points with the redo, it is a retake of the class. Okay, more on that later as well. Okay, the exam, just as what we've said, 30 multiple choice questions. You have to have 21 out of 30 of those questions correct, which is 70%. If you are intending to be a trainer, you have to have 23 out of the 30 questions or 77% correct. 60 minutes to take the exam, non-native English. If you're taking the exam in a non-native language, you get 75 minutes. The breakdown of the questions is there on the slide, especially at Bloom's Level 2 and 3, as well as the questions per learning outcome. Again, this is all listed in the syllabus. Okay. We'll talk again about it towards the end of the course, especially as we have 2 sample exams to use. But here is the slide I think is the most important of all. All of these materials are available on the site. I strongly advise you to ensure that you have the digital copy of the ITIL 4 book, Digital and IT Strategy, or the DITS book. Get the book. And then also the practice guides. There are 7 practices that we're going to be including. They can only be downloaded. The URL is there on the slide, and it takes a membership into my Axelos, which most likely you have because you've passed an exam. That first year is free. After that, there is a fee that you can decide whether or not you want to pay. The other materials that you have access to are the slide decks. You can download them so you can take notes, follow along. I've created a notes file that have all the tables and some other important information that I have pulled out of the DITS volume, clearly labeled it for copyright and everything else. But there are things that are really important that don't lend themselves to putting on a slide. The case study practical assignments and the takeaway form are also available. You're going to want to download those and have them ready. Do not do the assignments until they're assigned. You're just going to set yourself up for failure or extra work. The glossary is there, sample exam papers, and of course the syllabus. Again, get that syllabus, print it out, keep it next to you, and have it readily available. So that's our intro. The next video that you should be looking at, or looking at more than once, we're going to talk about the case study that is going to support the practical assignments for DITS. I'll see you there.